I must say we had one hell of a day, our first day back in Paradise Hill, Saskatchewan. It's been 4 or 5 years since we've been here. I had an opportunity to bring my father up at 73 years old. We hit the sun right, the weather was perfect, and I can't wait to see what the next week brings us.
We don't hunt waterfowl because we have to.
We do it because we want to.
We do it because that's what we love to do. Traditions always outweigh the conditions.
It's in our blood with every heartbeat. It is inhaled with every breath and exhaled with every cadence of our call.
It's our duty as waterfowlers to pass that tradition on.
People said we couldn't make a living selling calls and decoys for cold, hard cash. But we faced the odds and took a chance. Now this business is our livelihood. Like a well-oiled machine, we have to work as a team.
Day in, day out, we rely on everyone around us to make sacrifices,
To make tough decisions, to strive for greatness. Sometimes tensions rise and tempers break.
but at the end of the day, we are one. We are Avian X.
This is a hunt that's like returning home. Paradise Hill, Saskatchewan is probably one of the most beautiful places I've ever waterfowl hunted ever. It's just rolling hills. It's a magical time of the year. The leaves are turning. You can just smell the willow sloughs, and there's a lot of ducks and geese on the move. And I met Grant Kuipers in 2001. And we don't hunt with many outfitters anymore. We like to go out and freelance, go out and find our own birds. And going up there and hunting with Grant is, yeah, he's an outfitter, but he's one of our best friends, one of my personally best friends. And he's just a great guy and somebody I look forward to hunting with. Long drive, about 32 hours in the truck. But it was an awesome experience to be able to return back up there and just hang out with Grant and his family and enjoy some of the most wonderful waterfowl hunting you'll ever have. Well, once we got settled in, we jumped in the truck with Grant, and he'd been watching 4 or 5 fields. And the geese were, typically they're feeding in pea fields. And so we're thinking, you know, we're being in pea fields, but they were actually jumping around. And we found these geese actually in a pea field, but in a very strange area. Down this bottom area, all the way up against this road between a fence row and a road. A very odd place for them to be. And we watched them for about half an hour and an hour. And they just seemed so relaxed that I knew they would return the next day and actually land right there in this crossroad area. And so that's where we chose. And I know when we showed up the next day, some of the guys were looking at me like I was crazy, but it worked out and worked out very well.
We're gonna shoot some lessers.
Cut it, boys.
That was beautiful. Yeah. Look at that dog. That is so cool.
Oh my God.
That was beautiful. Unreal.
I only shot once. I wonder. Let's talk about today's hunt. We're on a kind of a crossroad of goose hunting today. The reason why we set up here, now this doesn't look like an area you would normally goose hunt, but when we came in here last night, we seen that these geese are feeding very, very close to the road. The reason is these geese have been feeding in this field for about a month. All the food's basically gone and they're just starting to hit the edges, going to where the food's at. So this rig is a good rule of thumb is on what you see on Friday is what you do on Saturday, and that's what we did. This is right where they were last night, up against this road. We even have a few decoys over here walking over the road, going over to the wheat field. Now we set these, it's about 15 yards back here to the Avian X A-frame. There's 3 of them there. We had 700s today. We shot a 7-man limit, or lesser Canadas. Our farthest decoy away from the blind was about 30 yards. Majority of the birds, especially lessers, they like to come to the food source. We packed the decoys very, very close together here today, and those geese came right to this spot. So most of our shooting was 20 to 25 yards. So a good rule of thumb is what you see, always try to mimic the real thing. You know, the one thing that we have to always be aware of and always try to do when filming, which is much different than actually just going duck and goose hunting, is when we're filming, we're always trying to hunt with the sun on our back or a bright blue sunshiny day. And on this trip to Saskatchewan, we looked at the long range forecast and we had a lot of clouds coming in, not much opportunity to film in the perfect light. And we had found this slough. Grant had talked about this slough, and after we found the goose field in the evening before we went to the slough, and I snuck down there by myself and got right up on the slough, and there were hundreds of mallard ducks. They were feeding in a barley field adjacent, coming in here just for water. Not a roost slough, but just a watering slough. And so as soon as we wrapped this goose hunt up, we went back, ate lunch, and we knew that the ducks, because we had some cold weather coming in, the ducks would start moving about 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So we slid in there, got everything set up, and I think the first group of ducks that came in and finished was like 50 or 60 at one wad. Get him.
Juvie Drake on the water on the left. Good shot.
Take it, gents. No.
You figured
that one hurt there.
you figured out he was a Drake just a little bit before we did.
Yeah, I seen him coming like I thought my old man was going to shoot me blue.
I could see Bowers and I were both trying to figure it out, and then boom!
I started busting up laughing. All the things I've done and all the different types of waterfowling that I get to do and we get to do traveling all over. Mallards in the sunshine, a small willow slough or a small pothole where they're just coming right in and landing right in front of you. I just, if I had to quit all of them and just do one of them, it'd be this hunt right here. I must say we had one hell of a day, our first day back in Paradise Hill, Saskatchewan. It's been 4 or 5 years since we've been here. Had an opportunity to bring my father up at 73 years old, hang out with our good friend Grant, and shoot a limit of lesser Canadas in the morning and a limit of greenhead mallard ducks and some pintails in the afternoon. And it just doesn't get any better than that. We hit the sun right, the weather was perfect, and I can't wait to see what the next week brings us.
This segment's been brought to you by Zinc Calls, a champion in every call, and Avian X, fuel the madness.